Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll get started in the next minute or so. Thanks for joining us. We're talking about our new digital products feature in MailerLite. Couple things with the webinar. Thank you for everyone for joining. If you have any questions during the session, you should be able to see the Q&A. It should be in the Zoom settings there, as well as the chat. You won't be able to actually type into the chat itself, but definitely go into the Q&A and ask all of your questions there. And we have our panelists today that will be answering your questions as we go through the session. Okay, so all questions go in the Q&A. But keep an eye on the chat because we will be adding in some information, some articles, resources, things like that. Okay, but all questions do go into the Q&A. Session should be about an hour or less. I will answer some questions at the end, and the session is being recorded. So we will send out the recording as well as all of the resources to everyone who has registered. So if you need to leave early, no problem at all. Okay, looks like we're 1 minute past the start time, so let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining our session. Today we're talking about MailerLite's newest feature, which is digital products, selling digital products in MailerLite, which has been possible in the past, but it is revamped and we do have a lot of new features with this. So I will go ahead and take you through showing you this feature. Quick introduction. My name is Harmony. I'm a customer education specialist at MailerLite. So I help write the knowledge base articles. I also help with the tutorials and with these webinars. If you've joined these sessions in the past, you might have seen me already. So just looking forward to telling you all about our latest feature and helping to clear any doubts. And hopefully you can start using this one as soon as possible. Okay, I'll go over what we'll be talking about today. So just so I can say it again, any questions are going to go in the Q&A while I am going through the session. Feel free to ask any questions during this. First, I'll be talking about what's new because we have had the ability in MailerLite to sell digital products already. So I'll talk about what we have had already and what is the new features. Then we'll actually go into a demo, what it looks like to create a digital product in MailerLite. This is available on all plan levels. So whether you're on the free plan, the trial, or the paid plans, you can create digital products. And then we will talk about how to actually sell those products via landing pages and campaigns. So adding those products into your campaigns. And we are talking digital products here, okay? So not necessarily physical products. These are things like ebooks, files, URLs, anything digital. Okay, so let's talk about what's new. So as I mentioned, selling digital products has been available in MailerLite already, but you have had to connect an integration. So whether that was Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, PrestaShop, any of the e-commerce shops, which you can still do. If you have an account and you have a shop with any of these, you can still connect those shops to MailerLite. Those features have not changed. But now you can create products directly in MailerLite itself. So you don't have to have a third-party store somewhere else like WooCommerce or Shopify. You can now just create those products right in MailerLite, which was not possible in the past. So this new feature, there's a lot you can do with creating and selling these digital products. So the first thing is you can connect to Stripe to accept payments. So all payments do go through Stripe. That does not mean you have to have products in Stripe or a store necessarily. You will just have to connect a Stripe account. That is how we are accepting payments. I will show a bit of that. So it's all securely done through Stripe to collect payments. You can host images, PDFs, EPUB files, external URLs, any digital file that you want to sell, you can host in MailerLite and sell through this feature. Again, any external URL does work in this case. So if it is a file that is, let's say, hosted with Dropbox or Google Drive, and you just have the share URL, something like that, that would also work. Any URL can be used with this. And you can also use our products block to sell in emails and landing pages and websites. So this is also something new and previously was only available, as I mentioned, if you had certain integrations. Now you can just do this directly with the products feature. Once you create a product, you can add it directly to your landing pages and your websites and your emails. So that way you're able to actually sell through MailerLite and keep track of all of those sales. You can easily share checkout links. So if you want to sell your product outside of MailerLite, of course, you can do that. I will show you, you can generate a link directly to the product itself, and that helps you share the product to social media, blogs, any external platform you would like to do, you would like to sell your product with. It looks something like this. And it's as easy as sharing that link, which we will go through all this in a live demo, but just to give you the basics at the start. This is some of the features. And of course, you can automatically deliver your products or an email with a post-purchase workflow and automation. So when a subscriber completes the checkout, you can send them through an automation for a number of things, whether that's to send them an email or to send them into an email flow, a sequence of emails, whether it's to move them into certain groups, anything like that. Anything you want to do with an automation, you can connect your digital products to an automation so that subscribers who purchase those products are added to those workflows. And of course, as I mentioned, you can keep track of all sales in MailerLite itself. You can also keep track of everything in Stripe. I will talk about how you can do both, but you can see everything in MailerLite. So you can see who purchased the product, the total revenue, where the purchase came from, everything like that lives in MailerLite when you have the products live. Okay, let's go ahead and go right into the demo. So give me one moment and I will just go over into MailerLite. Okay, so you should be able to see my dashboard here. My dashboard here in MailerLite. Okay, so as I mentioned, the digital products feature is available on all plan levels. So that means free plans and paid plans, you can create digital products. You should now be able to see this products tab, which was not there before. This is new. So let's go over to products. And you can see I already have one created here, but to go through the demo, I will go ahead and create a new one. So I just will go to create product. And you can see that it allows me to create one paid product. So I will go ahead and switch because I can create a product, but I am limited to one here. So let me go, since I already created one and I do want to show that one that was created, I will just switch to a paid plan so I can create more than one. But you can still create one product easily with a free plan. Okay, once again, create product, and we are taken into the flow here. First thing we can do is upload an image. This can be any image that represents your product, whatever that may be. It could be an image that you have for your shop, whatever that is. I will just select one demo that we have here. Enter the name. And you can see everything appears on this preview here. The description. You can see it appears here. And the price. You can accept payments in many different currencies. It is USD by default, and it has to be at least 50 cents USD. I will put $1 here just for the example. So you cannot necessarily have a free product here. There are other ways to, send freebies, free resources, things like that. This is, of course, paid products. We are accepting payments. You do have to accept at least 50 cents payment. If you want to add a discount, that is also possible as well. So you can see the discount can be in percentage or in a flat dollar amount. So let's say I want to discount 50%, and you can see here in the preview, it will show like this. So it'll show as if I'm having a sale and there's a discounted price. For this, I will not have a discount. I will just take that off. Now, of course, how are we going to actually deliver the digital product? What is the product itself? Is it a file? Is it a URL? This is where we can add that. So if we are attaching a file, we would click the attach file, and here we have the chance to upload any of the file options that you see here: PDF, EPUB, JPEG, or PNG file. If the file is already in my account, I can just select it. Or as you see, I was taken to the file manager and I could easily upload a new file. Or I can go over to the URL. This is what I was saying. If you have, let's say, a Google Drive file, anything that you want to share via a link, then that is where you would enter the downloadable file. And of course, none of this will be accessible until after they pay the amount. So this is just setting up what the digital product is, but of course, they will have to pay for it in order to actually access it. Let's go back here because I did attach a file. And then action after checkout. So now we want to define what we want to happen when a subscriber buys our product or when someone purchases the product and they subscribe. Normally, the default action is adding them to a group because this is an easy way to keep track of where subscribers are coming from. Now, if you have a group with all of the people in one place, you know, okay, this group is a group of subscribers that have purchased this product. So that is an easy way to do it, but you can also remove them from a specific group if you want to set something up like that, or update a custom field, which a custom field is any of the information of a subscriber. So their birthday, their country location, anything like that. You can also update any information that you have. For this, I will just do the default add to group. And of course, I will select a group. If I don't have a group already that I want to add them to, I can also create a new one. Okay, you can see this is how the product looks here. And continue. Okay, so now we will configure the checkout page. So of course, this is what they see once they click the buy now, and they will be taken to the actual checkout page. There are two options for checkout. You can direct the customer directly to Stripe and have everything handled through Stripe, or you can go with MailerLite's default checkout. The payment will still be handled through Stripe this way as well. But the main difference is you do have more options to customize the checkout page here. Whereas, of course, the Stripe checkout is just the default Stripe checkout that you have configured there. This can be useful if you already have a Stripe account, you already have products there, you already have an experience that you want to take customers through in Stripe. You can do that. You don't have to set something new in MailerLite. But for this demo, I will just go with the default checkout so you can see how everything is configured through here. So I can upload a logo if I like, anything here. So title of the checkout page, order summaries here by default. And then the option to pay now. This is the fields. This is the information that will be collected. So of course, email is there by default. We have to collect their email so they become a subscriber. But we can collect more information here. So name, anything I would like to add. I just click there. And now you can see I have the option to add or accept more information. And then we have some additional options here. You can add an opt-in. So let's say you have more email lists you want to subscribe them to, more information you want to share about your email list. Any opt-in, you can do that. That would add them to a specific group. Let's say that you want to have them purchase the product, but then also give them the option to subscribe to a separate email list or a separate part of your email list. You can do that here, and that would add them to any group that you choose. If there are certain terms of service that you already have on your website, let's say, you can link to that. Tax collection there. And enabling more payment methods. So if I have that, you can see it does give me the option to now collect more payment, or now collect payment in more ways, but you do have to manage that via Stripe. For now, I will just keep this on. And once they click the pay now or buy now, whatever you have here, then we have the order confirmation page. So this is what, of course, they see once they have successfully entered the payment information, entered all the info, and they have successfully purchased the product. This is what they will see. So you can change the title. This is the default thank you. Description, your payment was successful. Click the button below to download your file. Additionally, we've also sent you an email. I will talk about this email, but this is what the checkout page will look like. And then they have the option right here, the download button, and that, of course, downloads the file, whether that is a URL and that takes them to the URL, or it is a PDF and it will download that PDF. After they have paid, they will see that option there. And you can change any of this if you don't want to show certain things, if you want to keep this simple. But of course, it is always nice to be able to see what they have paid. Okay, continue. Okay, and that is it. So let me go over to the emails tab here. As you saw, it said by default, you can change that text, but it said we will send you an email. This is the email that it means. There is a confirmation email here. So this is for all of the products that are here. Of course, you can have different checkout pages, all of that. You can connect them to different automations, but you do have the confirmation email settings right over here in the emails tab. And what this looks like, you can edit all of this. By default, we have their name. Here is and then we have the product name variable. So this will, of course, put in the actual product name that we set, but you can change all of this. The sender and the preview. If you want to edit this email, you absolutely can. It has a very simple design by default, but of course, if you want to add more to it, this takes you right into our drag and drop editor, so you can add everything that you would normally be able to add to an email. And then also, of course, you have that download link or that download button there. Done editing. Okay, and that is it. You can see the preview of that email that is sent to them there. Going into the overview, you can see I can edit all of the information of my product right here in MailerLite. So I can, edit the name, the description, change the price, edit the file. All of this can be edited, the group that they are sent to, all of this. And I can also edit that checkout page and that confirmation page. This is not the email itself, again, This is the checkout page and the order confirmation page. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like to accept payment and accept an order. So let's go back to products here. And one other thing I will mention and I will show, I did say that you do have to connect to Stripe in order to accept payments. So let's go into the overview. Once again, you see the information here. This is a different product. You see this checkout URL here. This is the URL that leads directly to the product itself. So as I mentioned, if you want to share it via social media, blog, whatever outside of MailerLite, you can do that. Everything that we created for the product will show here. If this link is not working, if it leads to an empty page or an error, it is most likely because you are not connected to Stripe. Okay, so this is what it should look like. It should lead directly to the product itself. This is the URL. You can also get the URL, this checkout link, from this products page here. There's a shortcut, copy URL. And again, that leads directly to the product. But if it doesn't, like I said, if you see an error or for some reason that link is not working, it is because you are not connected to Stripe, most likely. So you do not have to have, like I said, the product actually in Stripe, but you do have to have an account connected. So to do that, let's go to integrations and scroll down to Stripe here, use. And then if I scroll down, you see I already have my Stripe account connected, but if I did not, this would be where I would connect to Stripe. I would go into Stripe. If I already have an account with Stripe, I would, of course, connect to that one, or I can create a new account. If I have connected account already, this is where I would change some of the settings or disconnect it. But this is important because this is how you can actually accept payments, okay? Once somebody purchases the product, that can be via the URL or other methods, which I will show. This is what our checkout page looks like. I can keep track of orders right here in the orders page. So this is going to show me all of my orders. Okay, so I can change a couple things here. I can filter orders for a certain period of time. I can search specific products, of course, and I will be able to see all of the subscribers that purchase a product, the status, what the product is that they purchased, the price, and when they purchased it, as well as the total revenue and completed orders. And I can export all of that information. So again, this is in the orders tab here. Okay, and that's basically it for creating and managing the digital product itself. Let me just go back to our presentation here. Okay, so we have a lot of questions. If we're not able to get to everything, I apologize. I will be answering some things live. So if your question has not been answered yet, I might already be going through it in a minute, or I might answer it live towards the end here. Okay, so we saw how to actually create the digital product in MailerLite. Now, how do we promote the product and sell it? One way is, of course, with that checkout link that I showed you. That is a direct link that you can add anywhere outside of MailerLite, but you can also sell things within MailerLite itself. Sell your product within MailerLite itself. There are two different ways that I will show how to do this. One is via landing pages. Landing pages and websites, both, you can sell products both through landing pages and websites. For the demo, I'll just show landing pages, but if you want to create a website in MailerLite and add your products there, you can definitely do that. I will just show the landing pages for this demo. And campaigns as well. So this can be also in automations because when you create an automation, you can add, email campaigns to it. So I will again show how to do this, but you can add your product directly into MailerLite campaigns and automations. Okay, so let's go ahead and show that. I'll be showing how to use the products block. That is how you are going to add your product into landing pages and campaigns. So let's go ahead and go back over to MailerLite and I will show what that looks like. Okay, so we are back here. We have our product that we've already created. And let me actually show this. Oh, no, I can show this in this account. That's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and start with campaigns. So let's go over to campaigns, create a new campaign, regular, campaign name. This is all the normal process you go through to create a campaign. Campaign name is the internal campaign name. Subject is, of course, what subscribers will see. Selecting a group that this will be sent to as an example. And, oh, I see, because it's not authenticated. Let me choose a different account because this one does not have an authenticated domain, so we cannot show too much of the editor. Not a problem. One moment. Okay. Campaigns. Create campaign. Regular. Internal campaign name. Subject. Who it will be sent to as an example. And now let's go over into the content. For this, I just want to show the products block, not so much our template gallery or anything like that. So I'm just going to choose the start from scratch, drag and drop editor. And this takes us right into the campaign builder, the drag and drop editor. So you can see this is just the default template here. And if I want to add a product, I go right over here into e-commerce products. And I just drag. And then to configure this, I click the block itself. And you can see there's no added products yet. So let's click Add Products from your store. And here we can choose the different shops that we have, the different products that we have. We can connect new stores. This is also where you can configure if you have any store connected to MailerLite, you can add any of your products here. So not only the products that we created in MailerLite itself, but let's say you have a WooCommerce connection, a Shopify connection, other Stripe products connected to MailerLite, any of these connections, you can add products this exact same way. So this is not only for digital products created in MailerLite, this is for adding any product, any e-commerce product, okay? And you can see I do have different, different stores here, and then I would just choose. And you can see the product is inserted there. So once again, this is for all digital products, not just what is created in MailerLite, but also what is connected through any e-commerce store. And you can see I can edit a couple of things here if I want to change any information. And I can do pretty much anything with that I would normally do with having a regular campaign. And save. Done editing. And that will add your products directly to your campaigns. And then, of course, you can send at any time. You will still be able to keep track of orders back in the products tab. You will still be able, this is a different account, so it won't have the orders, but you can still keep track of all orders here. So if an order is made through the product that was in the campaign, it will still show up here and be added to the total. So the same way things can be done that I just showed through a campaign, the same thing can be done with an automation because of course you can add campaigns to automations. So we can do the exact same thing. Start from scratch. Start building. Okay, let's add the start. Let's say when a subscriber joins a specific group. So this could be the group that, for example, they are added to when they purchase a product. Remember when you had to select a specific group? So that's how I can start the automation. They purchase the product. They are already added to that group. We already set that up earlier. So now we can start the automation from that group. And you can see I have the option to add an email right here. And this is very similar to the settings that we had before. It's just the internal campaign name, the subject, and then if we want to create the email itself, design email, start from scratch, drag and drop editor. And this is the exact same thing I just showed before. We have the default template. I go over to e-commerce and I can add my products. Same way that I did before. And you can see here, I had many different stores as options, but I can choose one. I can see this is not connected to Stripe, so I cannot add it, but as I mentioned, you can, once it is connected to Stripe, you can add any product there. Okay, and I won't really show too much when it comes to automations. This is not so much a demo for automations itself, but just to show how you can incorporate those products into an automation via a campaign. So whether you're creating a one-off campaign to be sent out to your subscribers, or you are creating an automation and you want those products in the automation itself, that is how you would do it, by adding a campaign and then adding the product right into the email. Okay, save and close. Now let's go over to sites. That is one other way you can promote your products here. As I mentioned, you can add products to both landing pages and websites. For this, I will just be showing landing pages. So create site. Landing page is chosen by default. For anyone wondering, there is usually some questions about the difference between landing pages and websites. Websites, of course, are bigger. They usually involve more information, more pages. Usually you might already have a website if you have your own business, whereas a landing page is just a single page. So it is not meant to be an entire website. It does not lead to other parts of it. It is just one single page. Typically, it's used for things like a promotion, or if you want to sell a specific product and you want one page dedicated to that. Any specific goal that you want one page for, separate from your website, you can use landing pages for. Landing pages also come with their own URL, so they're very easy to share. Okay, selecting a group. This is a group that subscribers are added to if they subscribe or they sign up using this landing page. Continue. And then we can choose how to create the landing page. Of course, there's different templates, build with AI, all these options. I will just go with the start from scratch for now. And this is just the default landing page editor here. And then if I go into elements, you can see I have all the options to add different things to my landing page, headings, text, images, video, all the options here. But what I want to show is, of course, the products blocks. That is in elements here under the special category. And I just drag and drop. And you can see it looks basically the exact same as it looked when we added it to campaigns. I simply click into it. If settings aren't open, click settings. And then again, I have the option to add products to the store. If I have different stores connected, I can do that. So what this looks like here, you can see this is a WooCommerce store that's connected, a Shopify store that's connected, and then the products that I've created in MailerLite itself are just shown here. I'm not connected to Stripe with this account, so I cannot choose it, but I can choose any product here. So again, if I have any e-commerce connection, this is how you can add products. And there you go. You can also edit in mobile with landing pages. So you can select how you want things to look in mobile, if you want them to look a little bit different, change the layout, all of that. One thing that I will show here, let's select a different product here. Oh yes, here. You can see that the link is also here. Done editing. And that is it. You have the normal settings for landing pages to show the URL, all of that. Let's publish this one as an example. We have the link. And then you can see my landing page and the product I just added. And then, of course, you can also keep track of orders within the landing page settings itself. So if you are checking the landing page settings for anything else and you want to see orders, you can see that very easily here. Or because it is a digital product, you can also see everything in the orders page like we saw before. Okay, and I think that is basically everything. There is one last thing I would like to show. Let's see if I can show one more thing here when it comes to landing pages. And that is when you have certain products in Stripe that are, say, a subscription or a recurring product. This is only if it is through Stripe. Okay, elements, products. Here we go. So you can see that you have the option to also add products from Stripe itself. So let's say you already have a Stripe account and this is separate from the products that you've created in MailerLite. You've just created a Stripe account that you have already used to sell products and you want to add those to landing pages or websites or anything like that. You are able to do that. That is a paid plan feature, but you can add existing Stripe products into MailerLite landing pages and campaigns. So this is separate from the actual digital products in MailerLite itself. But you can see here that when I do that, I do have a few other options that I did not have before. Again, this is not if you are creating a digital product in MailerLite. This is more if you already have a product in Stripe and you are adding it that way, because you can do that. You can create a product in MailerLite or connect Stripe and any other e-commerce integration that you do have. If you do have these reoccurring products in Stripe, you do have a few other options, such as action after checkout. If it is a reoccurring product, a subscription, for example, you can choose what happens after they cancel. This is because right now, our digital products feature, you cannot create a subscription or a recurring charge. It's just a one-time charge, one-time product. But in Stripe, if you do want to create a subscription, you can create one. You can create a subscription product in Stripe. And then that still allows you to have all these features, bringing it all into MailerLite so that you can still do all of these things, but you just have the option here. So that is just one other thing I wanted to show. Again, that is all through Stripe. That is not something that you have to have set up. It's just if you already have Stripe set up and products there, you can add them that way. Or if you want to have the subscription or recurring product, that is one way to do it, because with our default products feature, it is, like I said, a one-time charge. Currently, you're not able to add subscriptions yet. That is coming. I'm not really sure when. Right now, this is really just what is out and available is this one-time digital products feature here. Okay, I think that is all I am showing at the moment. Hopefully that was not too much information. Looks like we still have some time here. So I'm going to see if there's any questions I can answer. I know we had a lot of questions during this session. Hopefully the information was not too confusing or too much. And thank you so much to our panelists. I can see you guys answered lots of questions. Let me see if there's anything that I can just answer here. But as far as the webinar itself, the session, that is it for the information I'm sharing. Let me just see if there's any other questions I can answer. And let me also share our article and tutorial. So have a look at the webinar chat. That is our KB article, our knowledge base article, that really shows everything that I demoed here in an article and then also in a tutorial video. So you can see everything that I just demoed. And if you have any other questions, I think a lot of the questions will be answered in that article. So I recommend to have a look there to really get into anything, any information. But let me see. So I do see, oh, this is something I do actually want to answer anyway. So thank you for asking this. Do you charge for the payments? So MailerLite doesn't actually take any commission from this. So if you are collecting payments through Stripe, it is all done through Stripe. So it is not MailerLite that is collecting the payment, if that makes sense. It is still done through Stripe, and there's no commission. So MailerLite does not take any profit from that. It's really just a way for you to connect those products to MailerLite, but no, we do not charge for collecting payments. Recording, will there be a recording available? Yes, this whole session is being recorded. I will also send out the recording along with the knowledge base article and the tutorial. Someone said, can I add the link to the landing page that was created in MailerLite to our existing website? You can. It's not necessarily possible to add a landing page to a website, if that makes sense. Like you cannot add that page itself into your website, but the link, absolutely. That landing page will always come with a URL once it's published, and that can be added anywhere. Social media, your website, anywhere. Also, the direct checkout link for the product can be added anywhere. Okay, this is also a good question. Someone also asking about landing pages. Not a question so much about the product, but someone did ask, can I make the URL of the landing page the same domain name as my current website? The answer is yes, but that involves adding a custom domain. So that is, if you have a paid plan, it is required to have a paid plan, then you can do that. By default, landing pages have our default free URL. It's the subscribe page dot, XYZ. But if you have a paid plan, you can connect a custom domain. If you're not sure how to do that, have a look at our knowledge base. And we have lots of guides and tutorials about how to connect a custom domain to landing pages. But it is possible. If you do have your own domain, you can definitely add that to your landing pages. Someone had asked about digital products versus physical products. Yes, like once again, this is only digital products. Ebooks, files, anything digital, anything that can be sent via an email. So this is nothing, um, physical products necessarily. If you are selling physical products through, let's say like WooCommerce, Shopify, then yes, that's a little bit different. Those are integrations. But just our MailerLite digital products feature, it is just digital products. Someone else asked about physical products, whether shipping involved. I assume you recommend using an e-commerce platform. Yes. So as you see, you can connect all of those e-commerce platforms to MailerLite, Shopify, WooCommerce, Press2Shop, any of those. So that's all for physical products, yes, and digital products as well. So that can all be connected to MailerLite. But yes, this feature that I was kind of showing here, it is just digital products, but both can be connected to MailerLite in different ways. Free accounts are limited to one product. Is there a limit for paid accounts? Not that I know of. That is a good question, but I'm not aware of any limit to products in paid accounts. I do not believe there is one. But no, not that I'm aware of. But yes, free accounts, you do have access to the digital products feature. Everything that I showed, you can do with a free account, but you are limited to one product. And then, of course, the Stripe connection, you have to have your account set up there. But um, I'm not aware of any limit of products for paid accounts. I can create a sales page through MailerLite and add my digital product, right? Yes, absolutely. A sales page by a landing page, like I showed, that can be the sales page, and then you add that product directly to that. Would this work with Amazon and Etsy? It could, because as you saw when I was creating the digital product itself, I had the URL option, so I was able to send the URL. So let's say the product itself is hosted on Amazon or Etsy, and it's the actual product is hosted there, then you can send it that way. But if, let's say, you already have a product created on Amazon and you want to add that product to MailerLite, that's a little bit different because that product is already created somewhere else. But let's say you have just the URL and you want to send the customer to the product itself, you can do that. So someone is asking about it. This is for automations, where the trigger was the checkout. I think I do know what you mean. That might have been a little bit different. So It's not so much that it's going to be for the automation. So there is a checkout page that you can edit, configure. I did show all of that, how to edit the checkout page. But for automations, we have different options for triggers, but not so much um, checkout successful. But there are different options, whether they join a group, anything like that. So I do recommend have a look at that. But yes, that is what I was showing. I was showing there. Someone said, is it possible to leave the delivery section empty? It is not. You do have to have some type of product that you are delivering. So something has to be in that field, whether it's a file or a URL, something. This person, let's see, I'm trying to figure out, there's a video masterclass where I'm using specific instructions. So that is okay. If you have specific instructions, that you want to send along with it, you do have that option. Like I showed, an email is still sent out. And if you want to create an additional email, you can easily do that with an automation. So like I showed, they're added to the group by purchasing the product. They receive the email at the exact same time. So if you do want to send follow-up information, the URL that you add doesn't necessarily have to lead directly to the product if you don't want it to at that time. It just has to be a URL or a file. So it's okay, let's say if you have the file and the file just has the instructions on how to access the product itself. That's perfectly fine. There's really no rule as to what the file or the URL has to be. It's just what the customer will get once they purchase the product. So if you don't want it to be the product right away, you can do that. You can have just, let's say, a file with instructions. I know I've purchased products through Etsy and then you get sent a file and it's a PDF on how to actually get, the product. That's perfectly fine. That's still a file. So you can also do that. Someone else asked, I already have products in Stripe. That's embedded on my website. How can I get them here? So it's the same thing like I just showed. When you connect, you have to connect your Stripe account to do all of this anyway. You can create digital products, but you cannot accept any payments without connecting to Stripe, creating an account or connecting to an existing account. So when you do that, your account is already connected. That means if you have products in Stripe, you can add them to websites, landing pages in MailerLite. That already happens when you do that integration. Is there a way we know how many times it was downloaded? So we know if the email is shared and others are downloading, for example. Not necessarily through MailerLite. MailerLite tracks the orders. So if the file was downloaded, purchased, then it will show as one order. But if that person then, has the file and sends it to somebody else to download it without paying, without going through the checkout process, MailerLite won't necessarily capture that as an order because it's not an order. And it won't necessarily show that the file has been downloaded. Depending on where the file is hosted, you might be able to see that. Maybe, if it's like Google Drive or somewhere else that has that information, then you can. But in MailerLite, we're really just tracking the orders themselves, not so much the download of the file. We're tracking what's been paid for, if that makes sense, hopefully. Do URLs have to first go through Google Drive? They don't have to. It's just an example. So if you have a file or PDF or anything, you can host it anywhere, Dropbox, Google Drive, or just add the file directly to MailerLite itself. Um, Google Drive is an example. It doesn't have to be that way. This is a good question. Is there an option to white label a product listing to a domain we own? Not that I'm aware of, and I do not think that is something that you would be able to do in MailerLite anyway. I believe if you were going to configure that, it would be, you configure that where the domain itself is hosted. Again, this is not something, I'm not aware of this option in MailerLite. I don't think there's a way to do this. I think that would be done through the hosting provider. I'm really not sure, but um, I would say no. I'm not aware of that. Okay, looks like that is the majority of the questions, and I think we are reaching the very end of the session here. For anyone still around, I will just share a few more resources, but I will also share these resources for everyone who has registered. So everything will be sent out via an email, including, as I mentioned, the recording. But to know more about anything MailerLite, whether it's this feature or anything else, if you are curious about how to connect other e-commerce platforms, WooCommerce, Shopify, Stripe, any of that, that would be in our knowledge base. So I will send that in the chat. That is our knowledge base. That is where you can find everything, all of our articles for everything in MailerLite, as well as video tutorials are right there. You can join our MailerLite community. This is held on a Circle. It's sort of like a Facebook group. It's not on Facebook, but it's just an open platform for MailerLite people to share their experiences, what they're dealing with, if they have a specific issue that someone else might also experience. So that's a place for that. If you really want to learn about MailerLite and actually get certified as an email marketing expert, you can go into our academy, which is right there. And of course, customer support is always available. Depending on your plan level, you might have different ways of talking to customer support, but that is the email. That is the email there. And that is pretty much it. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. Hopefully, you have a clear idea of how to create and sell digital products in MailerLite. I highly recommend you to test out this feature. As you can see, you can do this on the free plan. So even if you just want to see how it works, you can do that. And that is it. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We will send out the recording, and that is it. We will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.